Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into this thing. All right, yeah, FSU and Florida, it's unbelievably bad, and it does get worse. It gets worse for Florida. I don't know. The Florida State situation is so bad, it's incredible as far as their football program. Florida's just got a ton of bad luck is really what it boils down to. Bad luck Billy is just, it's really been a struggle for them. They can't keep a quarterback upright. And I understand, look, there's nothing you can do about that. We're dealing with a situation up here at Tennessee. NICO got hurt in the game in the first half, the end of the first half. He didn't play the second half. Most people assume that it's a concussion. We don't know that for a fact. They're calling it an upper body injury, but normally that means concussion. Now, Coach Heupel came out and said that they didn't play him in the second half out of an abundance of a precaution. You know, he thinks he'll be able to go against Georgia, but look, this is Coach Heupel. He does that type of thing. He's a gamesman, and he's not going to let Georgia know one way or the other until he absolutely has to. So we just don't – he may not know either. You know, that's the thing. If it is a concussion, that's a tricky thing. They'll put him in protocol probably. It's hard to say what will happen. If I was Tennessee, I would prepare with Gaston Moore being the starter, and then if NICO can play, that's a bonus. But look, it is what it is. Injuries are a part of the game, and it's very difficult when you lose your quarterback. It's incredibly difficult. And if you lose your number one and your number two quarterback, it's even worse. And that's what Florida's going through right now. Florida State, I don't think it matters. I really don't. They lost DJ Ukulele or whatever, and he wasn't any good anyway. They were losing regardless. Now they're even losing worse. So let's take a look at FSU first, then we'll get into Florida, and then we got to talk about an even worse situation with their basketball program. It's when it rains, it pours for those folks. It's really not good. But let's talk about FSU first. Yesterday, they got beat by Notre Dame, as you can see, 52-3. That's probably as bad a whooping as they have had in the history of Florida State football. I mean, that is ridiculous. And you look back at the schedule, folks, I mean, it's nothing but L's. Look here, they've won one ball game. They have played 4, 5, 6, 10 ball games. They're 1-9. This is a team that was 13-0 in the regular season. They're 1-9. I've never seen a collapse like this ever. I hate it for the Florida State fans. I really do, because I have a connection with them, and I don't like to sit here and point and laugh at them. Now, Florida's a different case. You know, they've had our number long enough, so I don't mind them. But Florida State's they deserve better than this, and they don't know what to do because their head coach, they gave a huge raise and extension because Alabama's flirting around with him, Mike Norvell, and so they're stuck. I don't care what he does. He could go 0 for 2 years, and they'll probably have to keep him. Otherwise, they're going to owe him an absolute fortune that they can't afford to spend. So it's just a big mess down there, and they're not happy. This is their response after the game.
Attention. Have you been subjected to bad football for over 2 months? Are you tired of poor effort, confused play, ridiculous timeouts, and copious penalty flags? This show may be for you. This is the Warchant Game Day post-game call-in show where we've got to get a little bit silly because you know what? We could have started this in the third quarter tonight of Florida State's effort, in quotations, against Notre Dame in South Bend, but we decided to let 3 full quarters play, and so here we are in the Warchant Game Day post-game call-in show in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, pretty much all the FSU YouTubers pretty much came out with their live post-game reaction in the fourth quarter. They were done. They were tired of watching their team get bullied, and I can understand that. I mean, it was ugly. So they just said, the heck with it. Let's just go ahead and start our show because we might as well. And I can understand. It's hard to sit there and watch your team just get bullied. It's not fun.
But here we go, folks. It's the more of the same, more of the same. And what I can say, the good news about tonight's game, Gene, is that there's only 2 more of these. And so football season is something that we routinely look forward to and cannot wait and savor every minute, every play, every quarter, every drive. And right now, it's nothing about the football. It's nothing about the 60 minutes. That's getting in the way of what we want to know, which is where does Florida State go from here? So,
yeah, so glad I'm back for this. This is good. And thanks for that opening comedy routine there, Tom. I needed that. I mean, we all need a little laughter in our lives being Florida State fans. It's been a really rough season, and this is just exactly what you expected, I think.
Yeah, these guys, you can tell the apathy has set in and depression. It's just How can you sit here and watch your team go 1-9 and have anything, and especially just getting whooped by Notre Dame by that number? I mean, it's just absurd. They got to be struggling mentally from this. Yeah. Now let's check in on our buddy TJ at Double Fries. I know he can't be happy. And you can look at his thumbnail. You can tell this is probably not going to be a real positive show.
All right. Is anybody still watching the game? That's maybe a good question. Listen, I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know how to rant anymore on this. I don't really have words for this. So. Listen, this is for you, right? Like, I have nothing to say for this program, for this staff, anything, right? Like, we've said that they needed to make changes. Mike refuses to do that. We've said that they needed to, I don't know. Like, I could tell early in the year, everybody wants to put this guy in or put that guy in. It doesn't matter. This whole team is trash. Like, it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying they're trash as people. I'm not saying they're whatever, awful humans, but they're just not good football players. The game is still on. No, man, the game's been over since before the half. What do you mean the game is still on? The game has been over since they got off the bus in South Bend.
Yeah, they're done. They just want to get through the season and start making changes. They're probably going to have to, Norvell will probably have to get rid of some assistant coaches just to throw some meat to the Tigers out there because they're not happy. They want some changes. And they would fire Mike Norvell like that if they could. They really would. I don't think they would hesitate if they didn't owe him a ton of money. But they can't. They're stuck with him. It is what it is. So I don't really know how to respond to what's happened. Like I said, we've never seen this. We've never seen a team go from undefeated regular season, win their conference, and then come back the next year, and they can't win a ball game. I mean, it's like a totally different football team and a totally different coaching staff. Everything's different. So anyway, they're in a mess. And now we got to talk about Florida because, these are the two biggest schools in the state of Florida where recruiting is as plentiful as it could possibly be. There's no way this can be happening. Florida is struggling. They got the absolute crap beat out of them by Texas. As you can see right here, 49-17. It was just an absolute whooping. They have won a few games. They were looking good and looked like they were going to beat Georgia at one point. Then DJ Lagway got a hamstring injury, and they'd already lost Graham Mertz, who is also a good quarterback. They've lost both their quarterbacks. Now, DJ might come back at some point, but hamstrings are tricky. Man, you just never know when they're going to flare up on you. So I didn't think there was any chance he would play against Texas, and of course he didn't. He didn't even dress out. So I knew that was nonsense. There's just no way you can go in with a third-string freshman. You just can't. You're going to get whooped against Texas at Texas. So they had their fun with them. They pretty much abused them.
Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself! Oh, water tastes good, yes. Glub.
Yeah, it was kind of awful. But Billy Napier has already gotten the seal of approval from the athletic director. So, I think he's going to be sticking around. They didn't want to come up with $26 million plus another probably $5 or $10 million for the assistant coaches. So, and they had seen some progress until they lost their two quarterbacks. And like I said, DJ may come back for the LSU game or the Ole Miss game. And then Florida's going to play Florida State, which is going to be the world's largest pillow fight. Now, if they've got DJ Lagway back, I think they'll definitely win. But if they don't, it's going to be ugly. It might be 2-0 type of score. It could be like a baseball game because when they're both going with second, third, fourth string quarterbacks, and Florida State, I don't even think cares anymore. But they should care against Florida. They'll still battle them. I mean, it's in state. They can't stand one another. But Florida's in a world of hurt right now, and a lot of it's just bad luck, honestly. I will cut Florida Gators some slack on that because you can't control whether or not your quarterback gets hurt. That just happens, and it's always unfortunate, and it's the most important guy on the field. And Florida went into the season with two good quarterbacks, which is way better than most teams. And now they're down to, like I say, a guy who has no business being out there. He needs a year or two of seasoning before he's going to be able to do anything. But here's the thing. Basketball's coming up. So you'd think, oh, well, football will be over. We can focus on basketball. And then this lands. Yeah, their basketball coach is facing an investigation. And you can read it. I don't know what you can say on YouTube, so I'll just let you read it right there. It's pretty obvious. And this is an Associated Press. He's facing allegations. And you talk about all these things here that over multiple women, including students over the past 12 months, advances, asking for favors, sending photos and videos of his stuff. What is the deal with that? These guys, they get to these unbelievable positions of power, making tons of money. He's making like $4 million a year, okay? So he's made good decisions at some point in his life to get to that point. And you see this with politicians and all that. Look, we don't know what really happened, so I'm not talking about him specifically. Let's just talk about this, move this separate, because like I said, there's two sides to every story, and this will get hashed out. And if there are pictures, then, whatever, that'll be taken care of. But let's just talk about this in general. All these, whether it's a politician or whether it's a coach or whatever it is, these guys spend all these years getting to and it takes years to become a big-time head coach at a big program like a Florida or anywhere, or becoming, a governor or a senator or House of Representatives. It takes just years and years of hard work and good decisions. Then you get to the top of the mountain and everything's great, married with kids, everything's going the way you want it. And you think to yourself, you know what would be great right now? If I took a picture of my
pecker! Oh, where? Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's private!
And sent it to somebody I'm not married to. That would be a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? Oh my God. What are you thinking? It's unbelievable. And you see it all the time. It's crazy. But anyway, that seems to be the going thing to do. So now Florida and their AD Strickland's got to deal with this. And this is a mess right here. This is going to be a huge cloud over the basketball program the whole season. I don't know how this, with the media and everything, it's going to be awful. And like I said, this guy deserves an opportunity to defend himself. I'm sure he's hired a representative and all that good stuff. So, it's going to play out, and he deserves his day in court and all of that. But if it turns out this is true, they got to get rid of him. They'll have to. So, and the other problem is, what do you do now? Do you let him keep coaching? Do you suspend? Is it fair to suspend? This is just ugly. So your football program's got the worst luck in the world, and now your basketball program's dealing with an absolute scandal. It's just a mess. In Florida, it doesn't get much worse. So anyway, I wanted to cover this because I can't believe it. These are two huge programs, and I don't know who's in worse shape. I guess Florida at this point because they got to deal with this, but I don't know. FSU people will probably tell you they couldn't be in a worse situation with Mike Norvell, who I thought was a really good hire, and I still think he can turn it around. But my gosh, this is a disaster it's like the team's got to have quit. You can't get beat 52-3 and your team's trying. That's impossible. So anyway, didn't want to cover this. We'll see how it all plays out, but it's messy in Florida right now. And the only thing that Florida and Florida State fans are happy about is that Miami got beat. That's it. They're pretty happy about that. Other than that, there's nothing to be happy about in Florida land. It's a mess. Anyway, if you like this content, you want me to keep covering all these college sports stories, hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to do that. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. It'll help you get these top stories. And all my content doesn't cost you a dime. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.